Let me tell you about two men. Same city. Same school. Same neighborhood. They even worked at the same company for 15 years, same salary, same desk, practically the same life. But at 45 years old, one of them retired early, owns 3 properties, and takes his family on vacation twice a year. The other one? Still checking his account every Sunday night with that familiar knot in his stomach. Still one emergency away from financial panic. Still wondering where the money goes. Same income. Completely different lives. Researchers spent 2 years trying to figure out why. They tested IQ. They measured discipline. They analyzed spending habits, investment choices, savings rates. And after all of that, do you know what the single biggest difference was? It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't willpower. It wasn't even opportunity. It was 5 sentences. 5 ordinary sentences they heard as children, in their kitchens, at their dinner tables, in the back seats of their parents' cars. One man heard a version of those sentences that quietly opened doors in his mind. The other heard a version that quietly locked them, doors he didn't even know existed. And here's the part that should make you stop everything you're doing right now. You heard 5 sentences too. And whether those sentences opened your doors or locked them, they are running inside you right now. This second. Deciding how you feel about your paycheck. Deciding whether you feel worthy of wealth. Deciding whether money is something you build, or something you fear. The question is not whether these sentences are controlling you. The question is, which sentences got inside your head. Because in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you the 5 most financially destructive phrases a child can hear, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you will never hear your own thoughts about money the same way again. Don't skip ahead. Don't put this on in the background. Watch this one. Really watch it. Because somewhere in these 5 phrases, is the exact reason your bank account looks the way it does today. The great psychologist Carl Jung once said something that should be printed on every wallet, every bank card, every financial statement in the world. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Read that again. Let it land. You think you're making decisions about money. You think you're the one choosing to spend, to save, to avoid, to splurge. But what if, the real decision maker is someone you haven't spoken to in decades? A version of yourself that was 6 years old, sitting at a kitchen table, ears wide open, absorbing everything? Here's how I want you to think about your mind. Imagine your brain is a massive, powerful computer. Brand new. Fresh out of the box. When you're born, the hard drive is completely empty, no files, no programs, no viruses. Pure potential. Then the world starts typing. For the first 7 to 10 years of your life, every single thing you hear, see, and feel gets written directly into your operating system. Not as memories you can access and question. As default settings. As background programs that run automatically, silently, invisibly, every single day. And the people doing the typing? Your parents. Your grandparents. Your teachers. Your neighborhood. They weren't hackers. They weren't trying to sabotage you. They were just passing down the same code that was installed in them. But here's the brutal part, some of that code is corrupted. And corrupted code doesn't announce itself. It doesn't flash a warning sign. It just quietly causes crashes. Financial crashes. Relationship crashes. Career crashes. And you stand there wondering, why does this keep happening to me? Today we find the corrupted files. And we start rewriting them. Money doesn't grow on trees. You wanted something as a kid. Maybe a toy. Maybe a trip. Maybe just a chocolate bar at the checkout line. And the answer came, not with a conversation, not with an explanation, just 5 automatic words. Money doesn't grow on trees. Harmless, right? Responsible, even. But here's what your child's brain, a brain that thinks in feelings, not logic, actually registered. Money is rare. Money is hard. Money is always about to run out. Psychologists call this the scarcity mindset. And once it takes root in a child's mind, it grows like a weed through every financial decision they'll ever make. I want you to picture this. Imagine you're wearing a pair of sunglasses. Dark tinted. Almost black. And you've been wearing them since you were 5 years old. You've had them on so long, you completely forgot they're even there. You just think the world is dark. You think that's just how it is. But the world isn't dark. Your lenses are. That's the scarcity mindset. It tints everything. It makes opportunities look like traps. It makes abundance look like a lie. It makes spending feel like bleeding and saving feel like barely surviving. And here's the most painful irony, the constant fear of not having enough creates the behavior that guarantees not having enough. It's like a person so terrified of losing water that they grip it in their bare fist. The tighter they squeeze, convinced they're protecting it, the faster it pours through their fingers. And they never understand why their hands are always empty. People with deep scarcity programming don't invest, because what if I lose it? They don't ask for raises, because what if they fire me instead? They hold money so tightly, so fearfully, that it never gets a chance to multiply. The rewrite: money is not a shrinking puddle you're desperately protecting. It's a river. And rivers don't run out when you use them wisely, they keep flowing. Start asking not how do I protect what I have? But how do I create more flow? We can't afford that. This phrase is a quiet killer. So quiet, so normal, so reasonable sounding that almost no parent realizes the wound it leaves. Because there's a massive, massive difference between two versions of the same reality. We don't have the money for that right now. Versus. We can't afford that. One is a weather report. It's raining today. Temporary. Changeable. Just information. The other is a geography lesson. This is where we live. This is who we are. This is our place on the map. A child cannot tell the difference. A child hears we can't afford that 50, 100, 200 times, and slowly, silently, they stop hearing it as a financial fact. They start hearing it as an identity. We are the kind of people who can't afford things. And identity is the most powerful force in human behavior. You will always, always, act in alignment with who you believe you are. Think of it like a thermostat on a wall. If the thermostat is set to 60 degrees, and the room heats up to 80, the system kicks in and cools it back down to 60. If the room drops to 40, the heat turns on, brings it back to 60. Always back to 60. That's its setting. That's its identity. People with a we can't afford identity have a financial thermostat set to struggle. They might earn more for a while, but unconsciously, mysteriously, they find ways to bring it back to their set point. Overspending. Bad investments. Undercharging. Avoiding opportunities. Always back to what feels familiar. Always back to 60. Robert Kiyosaki noted that his rich dad never said I can't afford it. He asked, how can I afford it? 4 words that transform the brain from a dead-end street into a GPS actively calculating a new route. The rewrite: you are not your parents' financial story. You are not the thermostat setting from your childhood kitchen. You can change the dial. But first, you have to admit there is a dial. Rich people are greedy. Here it is. The one I warned you about. This phrase doesn't feel dangerous. It feels like a value. It feels like your family was raising you to be ethical, humble, good. And maybe they were. But look at what was actually being wired into your nervous system. Wealth equals moral corruption. Therefore, if I want to be a good person, I must not become wealthy. And your brain, the same brain that is fundamentally, biologically designed to protect your sense of self, will burn your financial life to the ground before it lets you become something you were taught to despise. This is what psychologists call self-sabotage. And it is breathtakingly, heartbreakingly common. Let me give you an image that I think captures it perfectly. Imagine you're driving a car. Engine powerful. Road ahead clear. You press the accelerator. Financially, you're working hard, earning more, getting closer to real stability. But unknown to you, years ago, someone crept under your car and tied a thick steel cable from your bumper to a concrete bill of fire behind you. You press the gas. The engine roars. You move forward a little, and then you feel the resistance, the tension. And without even knowing why, your foot eases off the pedal. Or you swerve off the road entirely. Or you find a reason to park. That cable is the belief that money makes you a bad person. Dr. Brad Klontz, one of the world's leading financial psychologists, has studied this for decades. He calls these beliefs money scripts, inherited narratives about wealth that operate from the shadows, pulling strings you can't see. People with this script will unconsciously sabotage their own raises. Feel guilty charging what they're worth. Give money away impulsively to relieve the discomfort of having too much. Make reckless investments that conveniently fail. All to stay safely, comfortably, morally distant from the identity of greedy rich person. Here's the truth: money is a hammer. A hammer has no soul, no agenda, no morality. It can build a child's first bedroom or shatter a window. The hammer doesn't decide. The person holding it decides. Wealth in the hands of a generous, conscious, intentional person creates extraordinary good in the world. Financial freedom doesn't corrupt character, it amplifies it. If you're kind at 30, you'll be kinder with resources. If you're selfish at 30, more money won't help. But that was never about the money. The rewrite: I am not choosing between being rich and being good. I am choosing to be both. And I will use one to fuel the other. Don't talk about money. In many households, money was treated like a body part you weren't supposed to name in public. Shameful. Rude. Dangerous to discuss. Never ask someone what they earn. Don't tell people what we have. Money is private. And so the child learns, deeply and permanently, money is a forbidden room. Now picture a house. A big house. And in that house, there is one room, just one, that has always been locked. Since you were small, you were told never to go near it. Never touch the handle. Never even look at the door too long. Now you're an adult. And that room? It's your finances. You don't open your bank statements. You don't negotiate your salary, because asking feels obscene. You don't ask questions when a financial advisor uses terms you don't understand, because admitting confusion feels shameful. You don't talk to your partner about money until the silence becomes a bomb that finally explodes. All because the door was sealed shut before you were old enough to understand why. But here's the devastating consequence: you cannot improve a room you refuse to enter. The most financially literate people on earth are not smarter than you. They are simply people who were taught that the door is normal. That it's okay to open it. To look around. To ask questions. To rearrange the furniture. The rewrite: money is just a topic. A fascinating, learnable, improvable topic. Open the door. Turn on the lights. Look around without shame. What you find might surprise you, but only if you're willing to look. Save money for a rainy day. And now the one that fools almost everyone, because it sounds like wisdom. Saving is good. Of course it is. But listen carefully to the feeling embedded in this phrase. Not save money to build a future. Not save money to create opportunity. Not save money so you can eventually be free. Save money because disaster is coming. When your entire relationship with saving is built on the foundation of fear, when money in the bank is not a launch pad but a bunker, saving becomes a joyless, anxious, paralyzing act. Think of two farmers standing in a field. Both of them are holding seeds. The first farmer clutches the seeds in trembling hands, too afraid to plant them. What if the rain doesn't come? What if the soil is bad? What if someone steals the harvest? So the seeds sit in a jar, in a dark cupboard, safe, unplanted, useless. The second farmer looks at the same uncertain sky, same risks, same unknowns, and bends down and plants. Not because she's fearless, but because she understands, seeds only fulfill their purpose in the ground. People raised on the rainy day script become the first farmer. They save and never invest. They accumulate without purpose. Their money sits in low-interest accounts like a soldier stuck in a trench long after the war has ended, still defending, still hiding, never advancing. The rewrite, yes, build your emergency fund, absolutely. That's the foundation. But once the foundation is solid, start building the house. Save for opportunity. Save to invest. Save for the sunny days, the trip you've always wanted, the business you've always imagined, the freedom you've always deserved. So here they are, 5 sentences. 5 phrases. 5 tiny collections of words that have been quietly, invisibly, patiently running your financial life from the background. Money doesn't grow on trees, taught you to grip sand and wonder why your hands are empty. We can't afford that. Set your financial thermostat to a temperature you never chose. Rich people are greedy, tied a cable to your bumper every time you tried to move forward. Don't talk about money, lock the most important room in your house and hid the key. Save for a rainy day, turned your seeds into decorations instead of harvests. And here is the most important thing I will say in this entire video. None of this is your fault. The people who said these things to you were not your enemies. They were simply farmers passing down seeds they had been given, not knowing some of those seeds were for weeds. But now you know. And now, as Carl Jung promised, the unconscious has become conscious. Which means it no longer controls you. You are not your childhood code. You are the programmer. And you can rewrite every single line. If this video felt like someone finally handed you a map you didn't know you were missing, share it. Someone in your life is driving in circles right now, blaming the road, not knowing about the cable tied to their bumper. Subscribe, because next week, we go even deeper. I'll see you there.